Welcome to episode 2. Let's talk about games of 2022. So for this coming year, decided to pull a list of all upcoming releases and go through them month by month and just kind of mark down my interest level in these games. These are not gonna, it's not gonna be a list of what I think is gonna be the most impactful in 2022 as we go through the year, or what I think is gonna be do the best industry wide. This is a list specific to me, what games caught my eye, and what games I just kind of want to talk about, because these are gonna be games that I will be playing, and then most likely what you'll see some content for some point this year, depending on when they come out. So kind of a heads up for everyone here. If there's any games that you think I've overlooked or I didn't include, which is probably a good amount, and you want me to check them out because you believe in them that much, comment below. Let me know what game that is. I'll look into it. Can't promise you I'm going to play it or buy it, but I definitely will keep an eye on it. And then maybe I'll make a list of games I should have included on this list as we get toward the end of the year and look back in hindsight how all these games did. So going through the list, I rank the games like this. Buy is a game I'm going to pre-order. I have it pre-ordered, or in my mind, they have my money. And I'll justify it however I justify it when I get to that game. There's watch. That might be a game that's piqued my interest for certain aspects or whatever reasons, but not one that I trust completely, or one that I need or something I might need to know more about. So I'll keep my eye on it between now and release date. As I get closer to release date, I'll either decide and it'll either become a buy and I buy it, or it'll be a game that I end up waiting on and I'll wait. Which brings me to the third classification, wait. Games that maybe a purchase that I want to make, but not until after I've seen some gameplay or people have had it in their hands and I can look on YouTube for videos of how this game actually turned out, so that way I don't end up buying a dud. Battlefield 2042. And one last caveat before I start the list, all these games that I'm going to be talking about, again, since they depend on me playing it, they're going to be PC games. Right now, I don't have a console. I do have an Xbox One. I don't use it anymore. So these are going to be games strictly that I can play on PC, whether they have cross-play or not. So that is one of the factors that probably would alter my list. It's not completely open. Be a very different list if I had PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. That list is going to be in the chronological order. It's going to be in chronological order that they come out. So there's no really particular ranking there, and I'll just rate it as we go. January, very, very special month. My birthday's in January, so I usually like when it rolls around. As far as game releases, though, nothing. If you think there's something coming out in January in the next 2 weeks or so that you really think I should keep my eye on, comment down below. Be happy to hear you. But right now, I'm gonna use January to prep some content for these games and get into the games that I'm playing right now. All right, so the first game's coming out on February 4th this year. It's Dying Light 2: Stay Human, a zombie game, so I'm already in. I played Dying Light, and that was such a fun experience. It's a zombie survival game, first person, has some multiplayer content to it, and I think they're going to do the same here, and I'd like to dive into that a bit more and hopefully find friends that will play with me. But you're killing zombies and you're running away from zombies. The best thing about Dying Light, and now we'll see if they continue in the series, which I'm sure they will, is the movement. The way that you maneuver the map and the way that you evade the zombies is so unique, and it's like this parkour-esque system, and it was huge. Parkour was huge when Dying Light first came out, but I feel like they'll continue it and add more to it from what I've seen. I haven't watched a video for it in a while because I've been trying to push it to the back of my mind, so I'm not just sitting here anxiously waiting for a game to come out. But finally, we're here. We're 1 month away, or less than that now, just a couple weeks away. Hopefully, no pushbacks, no delays. This game is a buy. It's a zombie game where I get to craft some weapons and upgrade that. It's a buy. There's absolutely no way I wouldn't buy this game. So I'm super excited to play it. Really excited to do some videos on it and just stream it, most likely, especially the first few times I play it. One thing about the first game that I think they're changing for the second, which is probably the biggest thing for me, is in the first game, You can go out during the day and you can go out during the night. Each had their own dangers. What I respect about this game so much is that it made me legitimately afraid to go out in the night in this world. Like, I did it the first time to see what the heck was it about and learn the controls, and I didn't know better. My heart was pumping so fast as I ran around this map trying to evade the extra, I don't even remember their names right now, but the creatures they had at night. They did such a good job making that as terrifying as possible that they probably did too much of a good job, because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone in that. Of the players that play that game, avoided the nighttime at all costs. Like, you're not catching me out. You would have thought there's vampires out there with those zombies, but no, it was just too nerve-wracking. I did it the one time, I barely survived, and I wasn't gonna risk my equipment or anything like that. It kind of put a stop in my play because there's some missions dependent on the night, and I just couldn't do it. I went back, I played the game in the day, and kind of just kept roaming around. That was fun, and that even had its stressors. So they said that they're going to take it easy on the night cycle this time around, and make it more friendly for people like me, who were terrified at the first time. But, honestly, even not being able to stomach that aspect of the game was great for me, that a game can elicit that feeling, because it's very rare that games get you any sort of feeling, but especially one that felt so real to me that I was too big of a baby to even just say, hey, it's a game on the screen, or hey, if you die, you'll get these weapons back. Nope, not at all. You would have sworn if my character died, I died in that. So that's one aspect I really, really remember from playing Dying Light. And now they said they're going to add the night cycle, make it more friendly, adding more moves into the parkour system to evade zombies, and they're adding other things with factions and making the human aspect of it a bigger player, so you're balancing the human threats with the zombie threats, which kind of gives me a feeling of like how The Walking Dead kind of approached their zombie universe, where the zombies were there, but as time went on and on, the human threats were actually more of a threat than the zombie threat was. So it's always interesting. I trust that they're going to execute very well in this. I'm super excited to play it in just a couple weeks, so really looking forward to this. Game number 2 on the list, coming out February 25th, is Elden Ring. This is an open world RPG, and they collaborated with George R.R. Martin, which, once you have that name thrown into a game that I would have already been on board for, I'm definitely on board for. So this is a definite buy for me. I have a few friends that are going to be grabbing this as well, so super excited for all of us to kind of play it and talk about it and watch them play, and vice versa. Third on the list is coming at the end of April, April 28th. It's slated for at the current moment. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, Heart of Chernobyl. This one caught my eye. This one I'm going to watch a little bit more and dig a little bit more into. I did some quick research while it made my list into it, and it looks interesting. I just kind of want to see how it plays out. The past of this has been in development for quite some time, and it's had the roller coaster of being developed, being canceled, being officially canceled, then revived more recently, and now officially coming out, hopefully April 28th. So I'm gonna look into it more. What's the facet that's grabbing my attention is this like a first-person shooter horror game. They also said they're gonna have a multiplayer mode releasing shortly after, or multiplayer mode is going to be coming out shortly after they release the game. So I'm just going to have to dig into the developer a little bit more and get more news on the game to see if this is going to swing to a buy as we get closer to that date, or if it's going to swing over to something that I'll wait on and see some gameplay of it. I don't know much about the content or how much there will be upon release, or how long the playtime is. So factors like that, there's things I want to find out and figure it out. I haven't played whatever Stalker 1. So if you have any experience with that, let me know if this is a game that should go right to the buy category and I should be more up on, or is it something I should be waiting on because we want to see how it plays out. I truly don't know, but it's interesting. Horror games always going to pique my interest. Game number 4 is Sons of the Forest, coming out on May 20th. This is a definite buy. This is open world survival crafting with horror elements. I played the first version of this game, or the first iteration, The Forest, and that it was a super fun game. Basically, your plane crashes on this island. You're trying to survive, and there's cannibals around as you're just trying to, gather resources, build shelters, and they have a campaign. Well, they did in the first game, had a campaign of finding your son who you lost on the airplane because he was taken by the cannibals. But I focused mainly on the building and crafting. That's my thing when I play these survival crafting games. And I actually heard about Sons of the Forest being developed and saw some news, saw that was super cool. And then when every video referenced the first game, The Forest, that's been out for a while now, I downloaded that and I've played that a ton and have had a ton of fun, and even gotten a friend of mine to play it with me. And we currently have a world that we're building, and it's been super fun. So I cannot wait for this game to come out. Based on my experience for that first one, this is another definite buy, because they're going to be adding more craftables to the second game. Probably a great story. I didn't play the first game story, so I watched some videos, so I can't attest to how good it was, but people liked it. Second game, probably just as good, if not better story, but then it looks like there's going to be more things to craft and get into some electronics, which is pretty cool. Game number 5 is The Day Before, coming out on June 21st. This is a multiplayer open world zombie survival game. And that's all I needed to know that this is a buy, assuming that they hit their date. As long as that's not moving, I'm going to be paying attention to it over the next few months as it gets ready to release. Obviously, if there's any hiccups, I'll put the brakes on it, because you don't want to just throw money away. But assuming things go well, this is a buy. I'm going to have a ton of fun, and the multiplayer aspect seems pretty interesting in the zombie survival, so hopefully can meet some cool people to play with, or get a group ready to go by then and jump in this world and see what it allows us to do as we just fight off hordes and hordes of zombies. And again, zombies are mainly the only reason I ever need for most games. All right, number 6, coming out August 23rd, is a game that caught my eye, and a game that I'm going to wait on, but it could be some fun, especially as we're getting to the later part of the year. Might be good to kind of shake things up. And that game is Saints Row. And I don't know if that's the official title that they're keeping, but this is a reboot of the Saints Row franchise. I got introduced, I think my one time I played Saints Row was Saints Row the 3rd, and I had a fun time. It was at a time when I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto, and I played that consistently since Grand Theft Auto 3, so a game that was very similar to it, that's a little bit more out there, to say the least, was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the outlandishness of it. It had a good balance. And then as the Saint Row games kind of went on, and just judging by covers, because I never played anything after the 3rd, it got too crazy for me. It got too insane. And that just wasn't something that I wanted to play, so I just kind of stayed away. So reviewing the list, I saw this pop up, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that series. And then when reading about it, it said it's a reboot, and they're trying to get back to that balanced game and fantastical stuff they had with like Saints Row the 3rd. I got excited. Not a game I'm going to pre-order or know I'm going to buy, at least right now, but definitely one I'll wait on. If they come out, if they release to some positive reviews, and I watched a couple videos and looks fun to play, it'll be a cool game to download it and maybe get into and play, especially depending on what content they add to it. So we're going to wait and watch this guy here, but just an interesting one to keep on the list, and hopefully they hit their mark with the balance, and it's a game I get to pour a lot of hours into. I should have led with this, but I only have 7 games on my list, and coming in on to round out our list is coming out on November 11th, and that is Starfield. Hard to turn down the Bethesda game, especially for the amount of hours I played Skyrim, and the fact that I bought Skyrim I think at least 3 times, and it's probably going to be a 4th time to play it on PC with the mods. But Starfield, being Skyrim in space, as they've called it, again, right up my alley from a developer that I trust, even with mixed reviews on like Fallout 4 and things like that. But overall, I've always had fun playing their games. And this game seems pretty cool. I'm currently playing a game called Icarus. It's a survival crafting game. It's not really an RPG, but it takes place on another planet that is not Earth. So kind of used to the spacesuity stuff right now, and that has already added some cool elements into a game that I generally wouldn't have thought of, and they did a good balance. So if Starfield can do a very similar balance, which I believe they can, they did a great job with all the Elder Scroll games. I enjoyed Fallout 4 for what it's worth. So coming in at the end of the year, in November, I will. It's a tough one. I'm gonna say this is a buy. Like, I can say I want to wait on it and make sure, but I know as November hits, I'm definitely gonna pre-order this unless like my bank account is drained and I can't. So we'll just say this is a buy, barring some very big bad news. But definitely a buy. Hopefully a game that gives me a lot of hours to play and do some content, because I could imagine the videos I would have loved to make for Skyrim. So high hopes for Starfield. But that ends the list of games that are releasing. So there's a few months in between where I'm not going to be buying a game, or at least not planning to right now, which is fine because I have more than enough games to play and a lot of content to make for my YouTube channel. So I'm going to need those months to really dig in to certain games and really deliver videos for all of you. Again, though, if there's any games that I didn't list out in my 7 that you're like, holy crap, how did this guy miss this game? You gotta play it based on what you've heard. Love open world. I love survival crafting. Zombies are great. So if there's a game that you feel like fits somewhere in there and you said, hey, you didn't mention this one, or hey, you should keep an eye on this one, let me know in the comments. I'll read them and sincerely add them to a list to make sure I look at them. And again, it could be a list at the end of the year that, games I've almost missed and didn't because of you. And then the last part I want to talk about is just games that haven't been announced. They don't have a release date yet, but they had a nice little ancillary list on the list I found, so it's added to mine. The to be announced crowd, these are games that once they get a date, I'm definitely going to be watching with the intent to buy, and we're going to have to see if they're going to make it in 2022. If these get pushed off to 2023, I'm not going to think about it till next January probably, but these are games that we want to hear some news on, but I think would be a good experience assuming these are released this year and don't come with any bad news. So first one is Gotham Knights. I believe playing Batman the Arkham series was a pretty enjoyable time. I liked it. I didn't get huge into it. The Riddler stuff in the last game was a lot, to say the least, so hopefully they kind of learn from that, but it seems interesting. This is probably a game that I'll wait after it releases, whenever it does, just to see how the gameplay looks and what people are saying about the story. If it's pretty solid, it'd be a cool game to buy if I catch on a sale, or if I just feel like I have some extra time and I really want to buy a game, I'll buy it. I enjoyed the combat as Batman, and who doesn't love playing as Batman? So having a few different characters to select in Gotham Knights is a cool concept that I do like. Some different fight styles, some different equipment. I'm not sure how they'll implement it, whether you can just be whoever you want at whatever time, or certain missions are for certain characters. But this game hasn't been announced to a date yet, so we'll wait and see when news comes out and see if this is a game that I end up just forgetting about, or if they have some juicy tidbits that make me want to buy it and play it. Next one is Hogwarts Legacy, a Harry Potter game. Sounds great. Sounds like a fun. This one I'm actually looking forward to. If this is a game that I can potentially play with myself and my girlfriend, I think this will be a cool game. Huge Harry Potter fans, of course. What kid growing up with Harry Potter isn't? But it'd be cool. I mean, I like games that allow some sort of use of magic, and obviously Harry Potter, you get your whole wand. So I'll be looking at the news for this, gameplay as they release it, or trailers as they release it. Because if they do a pretty decent job, it could be a pretty fun, cool time. I haven't been to Hogwarts in Disney, so This could be my first trip to Hogwarts, so let's keep our fingers crossed for that one. Another one on the list is called The Outlast Trials. My friend stuck me in a basement on his computer to play Outlast in the pitch black dark, not telling me what it was other than scary, and I was thinking like normal scary, and I was petrified and didn't finish the game. He got a kick out of it. I still get a kick out of it. So now having another entry into the series here in the Outlast Trials seems interesting. I didn't get into much information about the game. Most of these games I kind of just went off of the name and if I knew it or if it was affiliated with any other game. So this I'll definitely be looking to keep my eye on it, and hopefully this will give us great reaction videos of Outlast, because if we would have had gold had my friend been able to record me when I tried Outlast for the first time. Another game in the to be announced is Skull and Bones, and solely looking at this game because being a pirate would be super cool. That's it. I enjoyed what Assassin's Creed did that. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was super fun for being a pirate, and I didn't even play that as much as I would have liked. So this game coming soon, or coming at some time in the future, being able to be a pirate is a good enough prospect for me to keep my eye on it. You just need a decent amount of content, and honestly, I'll probably buy it as long as it's not a crazy buy point. Another one that I'm familiar with, State of Decay 3. They're going to announce at some point. I played State of Decay 2, and I really liked it. 1, again, zombies. But also this is more of a character management, base building game as well within the zombies universe, which I love probably the most. I mean, killing zombies is fun, evading them is a fun time too, but really building your base to withstand zombie hordes and zombie attacks while also upgrading characters, upgrading equipment, is a super fun addition to any game. So State of Decay 3, I don't need to know much about it other than it's going to keep doing what they've been doing in State of Decay and how they're going to make it a little bit better or what they've added. So excited to hear when this gets a date, and hopefully it's sometime soon. Redfall is another game I'm looking forward to. It's a co-op open world shooter, or a co-op open world first person shooter. And as much as now that you know how much I love fighting against zombies, turns out I also like the prospect of fighting against vampires. And so Redfall is a game where you're going to be able to fight against vampires that have taken over this town in Massachusetts, and do this with a friend. So I gotta rope in one of my friends to buy this, or if I feel loving enough, I'll gift them it as long as they can play it with me, or maybe just find someone in the community that's gonna buy this and we'll play it together and shoot some vampies in their face. Zombies are my number one fun. Vampires are right up there. Anything really mythical to kind of be I'm with. So looks like a super cool game published by Bethesda. Last 2 games on the to be announced list. Second to last one is Layers of Fear. Now, from what I understand, this is the 3rd entry into this gaming franchise, and it's a psychological horror game, I guess, psychological horror story game. They have 2 out right now, that I guess, you know, from what I read, you're playing the game, but the game messes with the player's perception. So not even as the player do you truly know what's going on as you're trying to navigate your way through it. And I'm torn because it sounds really cool, and obviously I'm really excited. This is announced for 2022, at least at the moment. So I don't know if they're going to get a date this year or if they'll end up pushing it depending on what happens in their development. So part of me wants to hold out that it'll get a 2022 release date and it'll just be a few months away, and I can wait and get my first experience with this 3rd installation and really go into it understanding the very little that I just told you. The other part of me that if this game gets pushed out of 2022 will probably end up happening, we'll be playing the first 2 games, the first 2 Layers of Fear, 1 and 2. I'm not sure if that's what they're called, but that's what they're called right now, Layer of Fear 1 and 2, and you know, making some content about just playing those and what I'm excited to see. And the 3rd one, I'm not really sure if I get antsy. I have a lot of games. There's 7 games I'm already planning on buying, so I should have a lot of games to play. So this might be one where I can wait on it, but if for some reason I get antsy, I'll just buy it, the other 2, and play those. Unless someone here has played Layers of Fear 1 or 2 or both, and they are extremely good, and I should play those both before going on to the third one, again, let me know in those comments down there. And if that's the case, I'll do it on the strength of you watching this video and saying that. Okay, and the last game to be announced is another one that the developers are pushing for this year, 2022, and we'll have to wait and see, but it's called Nightingale. And this is, as they describe it, it's kind of long, so I'm just going to read it off of here. Where is it? The official Nightingale site describes the upcoming title as a shared world survival crafting game set in an all-new fantasy universe. Sounds cool to me. Looking into this game really briefly, one of the aspects that really caught my eye, shared world survival sounds cool and all. Those could have their drawbacks, so I want to see how they're going to manage that, because I don't want to, build something with just myself or my faction and then it's destroyed when I'm offline, or all my stuff gets stolen because I'm offline. So we'll see how they manage that. But the part that really caught my eye was the fact that you're going to be able to build like whole settlements. I don't know if they're probably called settlements, small towns, cities, whatever it might be. So it's not really just like building one base that you can operate out of. You'll actually be able to build like a mini city. And depending on the extent, that sounds super cool. Even if it was just a really small, couple different buildings for a base. I like that idea more than just one building housing everything. And I try to do something similar in my survival crafting games anyways. It's just usually I'm building all of those on my own. So so that aspect really caught my eye, and I thought that'd be pretty cool. It's set in this like Victorian era fantasy world as well. So it looks like it'll look good, and this probably be more like just really exploring the world and getting lost in their fantasy would probably be pretty cool. So developers again said they're pushing for 2022 really hard, so I'll just wait and see when that gets a release date for this year, hopefully, and we'll see where it falls in line. So those are the games of 2022. I'll do update videos based on, if games release and I do buy them and play them. I'll make sure I have update videos about a quick review or at least a first reaction, and definitely live stream them. If games sneak their way into here, I'll make updates to this video, but I'm going to keep this one, and at the end of the year, we'll see how these games held up and if I'm still playing them, and hopefully I will. Again, any suggestions on games that are coming out this year that you think I should keep an eye on, drop them in the comments. Let me know games you're going to play, even if I'm not going to play it. If I can watch you play something that seems super cool that I may not want to put my time into, that'll be awesome too, because I'm always looking for stuff to watch as I do work and edit my videos. So if there's a stream or you make videos on certain games that I'm not going to be playing, feel free to let me know that too, and I'll definitely check it out. Other than that, hope your start of this year has gone smooth. Mine has not, but we're going to keep pushing through. We're going to stay on top of this, so I'll see you again next week.